In the heart of the Galactic Museum on Alaris Prime, young alien children walked past tall glass walls and glowing displays. Their teacher, a tall blue-skinned Falari, stopped in front of a large dark panel. "This," he said, "is the section of myths. Here you'll find stories about creatures that never really existed." One small child raised her hand. "Teacher, what about humans? Are they here?" The class laughed. "Humans?" The teacher smiled. "They were just a legend. No records, no confirmed sightings for over 300 years. Just tales told in old star logs and ancient songs. Some say they once ruled a part of the galaxy. Others say they burned their own world and vanished." The child looked up at the empty display labeled Homo sapiens status unknown. Below it was a cracked helmet, dusty and burned. No DNA, no ID, just silence. On the other side of the galaxy, inside, a deep military vault aboard the Zorthan Empire's flagship, something beeped. A small red light blinked on an ancient Console 1 that had not been touched in centuries. The officer on duty stared at the signal, confused. "General Varrock," he called. There's a ping from the Sol system." Varrock stepped forward, his golden armor shining under the cold lights. "That system is empty. It's been silent since the old wars. But the signal is clean, sir. It's human code." Varrock narrowed his eyes. "Prepare a scout fleet. I want to know what lies in that system." 3 days later, a small fleet of Zorthan warships entered the outer edge of the Sol system. They moved slowly, scanning for life, tech, anything at all. But everything was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Gerald, commander of the lead ship, looked at his crew. "Anything?" "Nothing, sir. No radio signals, no heat signatures from Earth. The planet is there, but dark." They approached the moon. It looked dead, gray and lifeless. A few old structures stood like bones half destroyed, ancient. One pilot whispered, "If humans were real, they're long gone." Suddenly, every ship's lights flickered. The screens glitched. The sound systems crackled. A voice came through. "You should not have come." The bridge went silent. Who said that?" Gerald shouted. The crew scrambled to trace the chase. Source, but no origin could be found. "Repeat that signal." Gerald yelled, but instead of a response, every screen in the fleet showed the same image. A blue planet spinning slowly in the dark. And a single phrase, "We were not lost, we were watching." Then the signal vanished. Back on the main warship, panic started. The AI refused to respond. Shields powered down on their own. Engines wouldn't restart. One by one, each ship lost. Control dot, and then the stars above them shifted. Dozens of dark shapes appeared, cloaked ships, now fully visible. Huge black vessels with glowing red engines. Their designs were unlike anything in the Zorthan database. "Identify those ships." Varrock demanded from his command station back on Alaris Prime. The fleet signal came back with only 2 words: human fleet. Back in the museum, the little alien girl stared at the empty human display. Her eyes were wide. "Teacher," she whispered, tugging his robe, "what if humans are real?" The teacher smiled again. "If they were real, child, we'd already be dead." Behind them, a small screen blinked. No one noticed. The title changed. Homo sapiens status, reactivated * general. Varrock stood at the center of the Zorthan War Command, surrounded by glowing maps and blinking holograms. His eyes were sharp and his voice cold. "Prepare the main fleet," he ordered. "Earth is not empty." That signal was not a ghost. Something lives there. His advisors looked nervous. "But General, the Council believes humans were wiped out during the Silence War. This may be a trap." Varrock turned. "Exactly. And I want to know who said it." 30 warships gathered in orbit above Zorthan Prime. Massive black vessels, bristling with weapons. The Empire's best. They called the mission Operation Emberfall, a show of force meant to crush anything that remained in the Sol system. Captain Jarrell, still shaken from his scout mission, stood on the bridge of his new command ship. His voice trembled. Last time, we didn't even see them coming. They didn't fire. They just ... watched us lose control. A younger officer laughed. Maybe you saw ghosts, Captain. If humans are real, they'd be primitives by now. Gerald didn't smile. Then why do I still hear that voice in my head at night? The fleet jumped to the edge of the solar system. Neptune passed slowly beneath them. The outer system seemed calm. Scanners showed no ships, no energy signals. Just the silent planets. Oak's voice came through fleet-wide comms. Advance to Earth. Prepare a full atmospheric scan. Take control of the planet. As the ships moved past Mars, the Earth came into view, blue, green, untouched. But that wasn't the strange part. It was glowing. Sir, there's a shield around the planet. What kind of shield? Varric asked. It's natural, atmospheric, but reacting to our scans. Another voice shouted, we're detecting movement. On the moon, structures are changing. Walls rising. On every ship, alarms screamed. The moon was waking up. Suddenly, static hit every comm. A calm human voice spoke. You invade with pride. You leave with silence. Then, one of the Zorthan ships, the Iron Lance, exploded without warning. Number. Weapon detected. No attack traced. Just. Gone. Varok froze. What happened? The engineer whispered. Sir, something's watching us from the dark side of the moon. Gerald's screen blinked. He zoomed in. A fleet was rising. Not from Earth. Not from the moon. From beneath the oceans. Dozens maybe. Hundreds of massive vessels, dark and shaped like deep-sea beasts, flew into the air like monsters from old nightmares. And on each of them, one word burned red into their armor. ERTH across the command decks. Zorthan officers screamed. We're surrounded. Weapons offline. Our AI is being overridden. Ships began to spin out of control. One by one, systems failed. New voice came deeper, colder, and clearly human. You believed we were a myth. That was your first mistake. On Ilaris Prime, the council chambers erupted in chaos. The ambassador of the Teverin people shouted, This wasn't supposed to happen. You told us Earth was gone. Varric replied over secure line, We were wrong. They never left. They just waited. In the center of the galaxy, a name that hadn't been spoken in centuries returned to every mouth. Humans, not dead, not forgotten, awake, asterisk. The Zorthan fleet was broken, not by fire, not by war, by fear. Captain Gerald floated weightless inside his damaged command ship. The lights flickered above him. Outside the cracked window, he could see the Earth calm, glowing, untouched. Around it, ships moved like shadows. Human ships. No visible weapons, no heat signals. Just black shapes that slid through space like ghosts. Gerald reached for his console. Mayday. This is Zorthan ship Crimson Star. We are disabled. Requesting assistance. No reply. He looked at his crew. 3 officers still alive. One was crying. They didn't shoot at us, she whispered. They just turned us off. Another added, They walked into our systems. Like they knew the way, Gerald whispered. They do know. Because maybe they built something better than we ever understood. Back on the moon, buried deep under the regolith, a massive machine lit up for the first time in 300 years. Its name, the Bastion Core. Built by Earth's last alliance before the silence. Its purpose, to wait, watch, and act only if Earth was threatened again. Now, the protocol was active. The machine opened its eyes, and it remembered everything. Inside the council chambers of the galactic core, the feed from the Sol system ended. Only static remained. The speaker of the council, a four-eyed Gerati named Senkel, spoke softly. "What did we do?" The Zorthan ambassador said nothing. His skin had turned pale gray. An old archivist, sitting in the back, slowly stood. "I warned you," he whispered. The humans were never extinct. They were patient. That was always their weapon. Meanwhile, on the far side of Jupiter, a small Zorthan escape pod drifted silently. Inside was a wounded pilot. Her name was Commander Letha. She clutched her bleeding arm and stared out the window. A dark shape moved past her pod. She flinched. It stopped. A shape hovered there, just meters away. A massive, silent human vessel. No windows. No markings. Just a single glowing ring on its side, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then, a voice spoke inside her head. "You came to destroy us. We came to remind you, the stars belong to no one." She closed her eyes. The pod changed direction. It was being towed, not toward Earth, but back to her own territory, at Earth's North Pole. An ancient bunker opened. 3 human figures stepped into the cold air. No spacesuits, no armor. Just skin, eyes, and silence. They looked up. Above them, the sky was filled with alien ships disabled, frozen. One of the humans whispered, "Send the message." Another touched a black stone on the ground. Within seconds, every species across the galaxy heard one clear phrase, translated into every language. "Earth lives. We do not forget." In a small classroom on a peaceful farming world, a child looked up at her teacher. "Miss, are the humans coming back?" The teacher stared at the newsfeed in shock. She couldn't answer. The child looked back at the stars, eyes wide, and whispered, "I hope they're not angry." Zorthan High Command was silent. The invasion fleet had vanished. Admiral Varric stood frozen in front of the galactic display. The Sol system blinked red. Dozens of Zorthan ships were offline, missing, or erased. He slammed his hand against the console. "Where are the survivors?" An officer whispered, "Sir, we only received one message. From an escape pod. It wasn't a distress call." Varric leaned in. It played. "They are awake. They never left. Do not return." Far away, inside the control chamber deep under the Pacific Ocean, human operators watched the feeds. Thousands of satellites, black drones, and hidden probes lit up the galaxy in real time. One operator leaned back in her chair. "They finally remembered us." A second smiled. "Let's remind them why they forgot." She tapped a single button. Phase 1 initiated. Across 5 enemy sectors, strange things began to happen. Zorthan defense platforms exploded without attack. Imperial banking systems crashed, records wiped. AI commanders began reciting Earth nursery rhymes before shutting down. One message appeared on every hacked screen. In glowing white text, "Peace was possible. You chose memory loss over mercy." Admiral Varric called an emergency council meeting. Aliens from dozens of species shouted over each other. They shut down our starport. Our trade fleet was hijacked by song. They spoke inside my head. I saw Earth in my dreams. The archivist stood and raised his cane. "You ignored the warnings," he said. The silence wasn't weakness. It was patience. On Earth, the sky shimmered. Hidden cities came to life, once buried, now rising from underground. Airships took flight. Deep-sea harvesters surfaced. And far above, the Bastion Ring, a once dormant defense halo in low orbit, opened its gates. Human voice echoed across the galaxy again, calm and terrible. "We offered peace. You mocked our silence. Now feel our memory. Captain Gerald, barely surviving inside a ruined Zorthan vessel, watched it all. He saw Earth glowing. He saw the moon shifting. He saw shapes, black human ships flying without sound or fuel, using technology no one understood. And he whispered, "They're not just back. They're better than us." In the Galactic Council archives, a classified file auto-unlocked top secret Echo project date, 327 years ago, signed Commander Elias Gray, Earth High Defense Text. If we vanish, it is not surrender. It is preparation. Let them forget. Let them laugh. When they reach for our world with weapons, they will touch fire. Back in the museum on Alaris Prime, the old mythical species section flickered. The human display lit up. A voice whispered from the speakers, "Legends." Walk once more. Children screamed. Teachers ran dot above the city. A single Earthship decloaked, silent, black. Watching dot, then it vanished dot asterisk. The grand hall of the Galactic Council had never been this silent. Thousands of delegates, slimy, scaled, feathered, armored, sat frozen under the great crystal dome. Holograms flickered around them, showing the terrifying events unfolding across the galaxy. Earth had returned. The humans were alive, and worse. They had planned everything. Council Speaker Senkol, an old Gerati with cracked horns, stood. Slowly, the Zorthan Empire invaded without our approval. But we all share the blame. He looked around. We declared humans extinct. We erased them from records. We labeled them a myth. He paused, and they saw it all. The Kremari. Ambassador clicked her jaws. Why didn't they stop us earlier? A voice answered, but it wasn't from anyone in the room. It came through the council's main speaker system. Calm, cold, human. Because we do not act in anger. We act in necessity. Everyone turned in shock. A hologram formed in the center of the chamber, tall, silent, unmistakably human. He wore no armor, no crown, just a black coat and tired eyes. "I am Commander Elias Gray," he said. First voice of Earth's defense accord. One ambassador gasped. "That's impossible. He vanished 3 centuries ago." The human nodded. We all did. And now we return, not to conquer, but to remind. Across the galaxy, humans moved in silence. A single Earthship appeared above the Tevarine moon. It deployed no weapons, but all Tevarine ships shut down mid-flight. In the Karthik system, a human envoy walked calmly into a fortress that no outsider had ever breached. No guard stopped him. On the trade world of Norshal 3, a holographic billboard simply lit up with words, "Earth remembers. You will too." Back in the council, panic rose. We must act. Fight back. Someone shouted dot, but Senkol held up a hand. With what? Our fleets are useless. Our A is our compromised. They control half our systems with code we can't even read. The Kremari ambassador hissed. Then we must surrender. The human hologram blinked. We do not ask for surrender. He took a step forward. We ask for truth. On Earth, in the shadow of old ruins now rebuilt, children played again. Machines tilled soil. Oceans sang with sound. The planet was alive, not as a weapon, but as a home reborn. Commander Gray turned to the skies above, watching the galactic channels buzz with fear. His assistant, a younger human with silver eyes, asked softly, "Do you think they'll listen now?" Gray answered, "No, not yet. First, they must remember why they feared us." At that moment, the council chamber doors exploded open. A battered alien Zorthan scout, missing an arm, fell inside, gasping, "They're here." He dropped something. It rolled across the floor. A coin, not old, rusted. On one side, the Earth symbol. On the other, the words, "We warned you." Asterisk. The skies above 3 star systems turned black. No alarms. No warning. Just darkness. Then came the fire. It didn't fall like missiles. It didn't scream like lasers. It moved like light itself, wrapping around ships, burning without flame. It was technology far beyond the Council's understanding. The humans called it Project Prometheus. In the Karthik defense ring, the Council's most powerful fortress spun quietly. Admiral Trezin stood watching his fleet hover in orbit. Over 500 ships, perfectly armed, perfectly trained. And yet, they all failed together. In 1 second, his crew screamed. Lights died. Controls turned to static. On every screen, 3 words appeared: "We are awake." Then came the fire. Silent, white-hot, and exact. The entire fleet fell. No explosions, no debris, just gone. Disassembled at a molecular level. Trezin never even had time to fire back. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Elias Gray stood inside the Bastion Core with 100 other human strategists. No one shouted. No one panicked. Each strike was timed, measured, clean. A young officer whispered, "Sir, the Council is trying to open peace talks." Elias nodded. "Let them." The officer hesitated. "And if they lie?" Gray looked up. His eyes were calm. "Then they will learn how humans lie with stars." Across the galaxy, civilians looked up and saw new stars in the sky. Ships. Earth ships. They didn't bomb planets. They didn't hurt innocents. They just hovered, watching. Above every capital, every military world, every trade route. Then came the message in every voice, every screen, every dream. "We are not your enemy. We were your warning. You did not listen." On Alaris Prime, inside the council chamber, total silence fell again. One ambassador sobbed. "They didn't even need to kill us. They could have erased everything." Another whispered, "Why didn't they?" Sinkel finally understood. Was not revenge. This was a lesson. Back in the Zorthan ruins, a boy found a metal box buried beneath. The ashes of his city. Inside, it was a book. Old, human, burned around the edges. He couldn't read the language, but on the last page, one phrase was scratched into the steel cover. "Let history remember this day, not for war, but for the moment we were remembered." He held it tight, not in fear, but in hope. Above him, the last human ship vanished into the stars. Not with thunder, not with smoke, but with silence. Because Earth had already spoken, and the galaxy would never forget it again. Asterisk, the galaxy had changed, not because of war, not because of fear, but because the legend had returned, and it refused to be silent anymore. On the outer world of Veltron 5, the people gathered in the city square. The stars above shimmered strangely. A young girl pointed up. "Look!" The crowd watched as a ship appeared, sleek, black, and silent, hovering just above the clouds. It did nothing. It just watched. In the council chamber, Speaker Senkal stood before a message sent directly from Earth. It was not a threat. It was a statement. We will not conquer. We will not rule. But we will never be forgotten again. He stared at the words. Then he said softly, "We erased them from our books, but we burned our own history in doing so." On Earth, humanity had changed to. No longer hiding. The great sky cities returned. Underwater domes resurfaced. The moon was now a fortress, but also a garden. Children learned languages from 50 worlds. They didn't celebrate revenge. They celebrated balance. Commander Elias Gray stood at the edge of the restored Earth monument, where one line was carved deep in stone. "Let our silence be a choice, never a mistake again." A council delegation was finally allowed to land on Earth. Their ships were small. No weapons. They walked slowly onto the ancient ground. expecting guards or fearsome soldiers. Instead, they were greeted by children, human children laughing, running, offering fruit and stories. One alien leader fell to his knees and wept. Was told you were monsters. A small boy held his hand and smiled. My grandpa says we were, but now we try harder. In secret rooms across the galaxy, military leaders tried to understand what had happened. Why didn't they destroy us? One asked. The answer came from an old soldier who had fought during the Silence War. Because humans learned what we never did. How to win without hate. Back in the museum on Alaris Prime, the most popular display was now the human exhibit. No longer empty. Inside was a new suit-sleek black armor, layered with strange glowing patterns. Above it, the new title, Homo sapiens, the legend that fought without killing, and below it, don't fear the ones who speak loudly, fear the ones who wait, and then whisper. One final message was sent across the stars from Earth. It played only once. A human voice, calm, strong, and clear. We were your ghosts. We became your memory. Now we are your reminder. Never erase a legend, because one day it might fight back. The end. Asterisk.